How's it going, everyone? I am the Shaz here to get you ready for a special edition of SBL, the School Idol Festival SBL. This particular SBL will be occurring around the release of the second Fest banners on the global server, though there are a few interesting differences to this SBL as opposed to the other 9 we have played so far. As I will state before we start talking about the songs in every SBL video, make sure you do a voltage focused run on each song every day. Even if you don't think you have a particularly great team for voltage runs, do them. The number of tokens, star gems, and high memory tickets you can acquire from SBL varies greatly if you don't do a voltage run on each song. And with this SBL, there should be no excuses. The reason? For this inaugural School Idol Festival SBL, you will get 5 plays per song per day. So you SP cycle, skill activations, and heal cheesers have more than enough chances to gain your additional SBL tokens that way. Now normally, this is the portion in the video where I'll go over the 3 songs in the event at this point. This time, I can't do that, because the School Idol Festival SBL is split into 3 parts with 3 sets of 3 different songs. What? Let me explain. Part 1 of the event gives us a song list of Nijiiro Passions, Neo Sky Neo Map, and Yume ga Kokokara Hajimaru Yo, 2 of which are not playable as regular lives during the making of this video. The category MVPs for this portion of the event are Voltage, Heal Skill Tap activations, and Skill activations. Part 2 of the event brings a song list of songs you're more familiar with: Supernova, Dreamland Dreamworld, and Sing and Smile. The category MVPs for this portion are Voltage, SP gauges, and Heal Skill Tap activations. Part 3 of the event gives us our most diverse song listing yet, featuring Angelic Angel, Hop Stop Nonstop, and Tokimeki Runner's Chapter 17 version. This last portion has category MVPs of SP gauges, skill activations, and Heal Skill Tap activations. All 3 parts give 2 days worth of plays spread out over 6 days, with each portion changing over at 10 PM PST, as it would if a brand new SBL was released. Because of the structure of this event, there wasn't an overall voltage leaderboard in the traditional sense. Each event portion had its own voltage leaderboard, with the gems and SBL tokens that you would normally get during the course of a regular SBL being split into 3 parts, 1 for each song list. This also means that there are 3 separate sets of titles, if you're into that kind of thing. Lastly, as far as the stat buff goes, all cards would get a 10% stat buff during the event, so keep that in mind as you're building your teams. With all of the logistics out of the way, let's start on the first song of Part 1, Nijiiro Passions, which falls under the Pure attribute. This song sports a cleansable 20% off attribute debuff, so unless you're running some combination of Vesio, Ves Chica, Noble Princess Karin, Ves Kasumi, or Detective Pana, you're going to want to bring a cleanser. The only portion of the song that is particularly tricky is the second AC, which forces you to activate 9 tap skills within 18 nodes, but giving a skill activation buff to guard type cards by 20% for the entirety of the AC. Voltage runs are going to be pretty straightforward and employ what is the new baseline for pure attribute songs: Noble Princess Karin, Ves Kasumi, Detective Pana. The added gauge fill and ability to maximize the extra 30% gauge fill rate for SP type cards during the 1st and 4th ACs is huge, for those that can comfortably score with those 2 SP type cards. The second scoring option, which is slightly worse, will be a brute force comp with Vesio, Ves Chica, and most likely Uma Event Honoka, since she's the only other second year that combos with the 2 Fest cards. Heal skills and skill activations will run the standard combo with 3 of these cards: Vesio, Parade Pana, Snow Halation Maki, Cheerleader Yohane, and Borarara Umi as their 3rd strategy, while switching between their main 2 strategies filled with tap skills of whatever MVP they're going after. Also, due to a 20% skill activation rate up for guard type cards gimmick note before the second AC, in addition to that second AC gimmick, will steer you away from using those non-guard type stamina healers like Fest Mari, New World Setsuna, Moonrabbit Rico, and Signal Rena. The second song of part 1 brings Neo Sky Neo Map, the ending song for season 1 of Love Live Nijigasaki High School Idol Club anime. This song appears in the natural attribute and gives another cleansable 20% off attribute debuff. Now, the ACs don't really have anything difficult except for the annoying 4-member appeal on the third AC, so passing them should be a breeze. Voltage runs will most likely consist of the best natural attribute scoring trio, Fest Nozomi, Fest Emma, and Serenade Maki, or as I like to call her, Sideways Maki. Just like with Nijiiro Passions, the assumption that most wills will have these cards at or near max limit break means that reaching the tap cap of 57.5k will be a breeze, and they will look for additional ways to score, mainly by cycling SP gauges. This gets further enhanced by Fest Emma getting an additional 20% gauge gain during the first and last ACs due to a Niji unit buff, though if you don't own Fest Emma, Fest Kasumi would be a decent substitute. Skills and heal cheesers don't get any help from gimmick notes or intra-AC gimmicks in this song, so running your standard team comp for this song will be your best bet to score those extra 1500 SBL tokens. The last song of part 1 gives us the finale song of season 1, Yume ga Kokokara Hajimaru yo. This song comes in the elegant attribute and again gives us a cleansable 20% off attribute debuff. So I hope you have your initial Ricos, Flower Symphony Kasumis, Event Kanons, and Fruit Sneakos ready if you're not on attribute. As far as the gimmicks go, this song is annoying as hell. The second AC is an 8-member appeal, the fourth AC requires 8 tap skill activations, and the sixth requires 6 crits. Now, all of these ACs give a boost in some way to Niji members, so this may heavily influence your team building. For voltage runs, because of the attribute of this song, the most common frontline strategy among the voltage ranking leaders will likely consist of Fest Kotori, Fest Ellie, and Initial Yohane. Much like Neo Sky Neo Map, if we're functioning under the assumption that these cards are at or near max limit break and are tapping near 57.5k on a normal basis, we're looking to use extra SP gauges, which those 3 cards help with dramatically. In speaking with Nematic for this video, he showed me this formation that was run on JP. It features the frontline we mentioned earlier, though with a secondary strategy for those troublesome ACs that utilizes Fest Kanata, Fest Emma, and Signal Rena to maximize the Niji buffs within those ACs. The only help that skill cheesers will get is in the 4th AC, which buffs the base skill activation rate of Niji cards by 20%. However, because the only skill rate of Niji card falls in the SR slot, you'll probably see a double dip strategy employed instead, running some combination of Signal Rena, Sweet Steko Ayumu, Debut Kasumi, and New World Setsuna during that AC for additional stamina heal tap active skills. Heal cheesers will also use those cards in the same fashion to go after their coveted MVP. With part 1 out of the way, let's get to part 2. As a friendly reminder, the MVPs for this second part are voltage, SP gauges, and heal skill tap activations. So, let's turn our attention over to the first song of part 2, Supernova by Diver Diva. Much like all songs in part 1, this song has a cleansable 20% off attribute debuff. This song isn't very difficult at all, though there is another one of those irritating 4-member appeals on the second AC. Voltage runs will feature the preeminent lineup for anything in the active attribute: Fest Kanon, Fest Setsuna, Train Nico. As per usual, if you're missing any one of those 3 active attribute juggernauts, there are a lot of fine substitutes. Blue Amor Umi, Toy Shop Panic Yo, Christmas Kotori, and the new second Fest Ellie are all suitable for the song. Also, because damage per note for this song is relatively low, there isn't much need for a stamina stick or healing in your backline. SP gauge cyclers and heal skill cheesers don't get much help from the gimmicks within the ACs, so you'll probably see someone's best all-around cheese to work their way towards the MVP. The second song in part 2 gives Dreamland Dream World by Azuna. Again, another song with a cleansable 20% off attribute debuff, this time in the pure attribute, and once again, another song with multi-strategy appeals, with the second AC requiring a 5-member appeal and the 6th needing a 4-member appeal. The rest of the ACs are a piece of cake though. Voltage runs should again be smattered with Princess Karin, Vest Kasumi, and Detective Pana, as that is objectively the best frontline for most pure attribute songs. The multi-strategy appeals, while annoying, shouldn't change someone's backline strategy too much, though there will be probable temptation to run Noble Princess Honoka in the hopes of a strategy switch time down skill activation. If it's not your best appeal buffing backliner, I wouldn't worry about it too much. For gauges and heals, once again, the gimmicks provide no significant buffs or significant debuffs, so your normal strategies should give you the best chance to win. The final song of part 2 is Sing and Smile by Quartz, a smile attribute song with a cleansable 20% off attribute debuff. Yes, I know I sound like a frickin' broken record, but I need to be thorough for my own sanity. Luckily for us, this is the only of the Niji subunit daily songs that doesn't have a multi-strategy member appeal, so you don't have to think too hard about making crazy, minuscule adjustments to your team. Voltage runs will most likely consist of a strategy utilizing Vest Honoka, Miracle Voyageo, and Christmas Setsuna. The New World Kotori can be used for any of the other 2 gauge fillers if she's at a higher limit break, and Vest Shioriko if you don't have Vest Honoka. If at this point of the video you're still scratching your head as to why gauge fillers are included for voltage runs, I'm currently working on a voltage ranking analysis from the perspective of an all-stars whale that should explain everything. SP gauges and heal skill cheesers finally get some sort of incentive to build on attribute, as the lone gimmick note in the song gives a 20% skill activation rate up for smile attribute cards. In addition, SP cyclers get an extra 20% SP gauge gain during the 2nd and 4th ACs for smile attribute cards, meaning the aforementioned Miracle Voyageo, Christmas Setsuna, and New World Kotori are all going to see a lot of usage by min-maxers chasing that MVP. Alright, time for part 3, easily the most difficult of this 3-part SBL. As a reminder, the category MVPs are SP gauges, skill activations, and heal skill tap activations. Even though there are no voltage MVPs, you should still be doing your voltage runs. For Christ's sake, we have 5 plays per song per day. There should be no excuses. Anywho, first song for part 3 is Angelic Angel, which comes in the elegant attribute. The song comes with a non-cleansable 20% off attribute appeal debuff, so leave those cleansers on the bench for this song. Now, the gimmicks. There are 7 gimmick notes that boost Muse member appeal by 20% for the next 10 notes, in addition to a 50% gauge gain increase for SP type cards. Oh, and all the ACs provide an additional 30% gauge gain rate for SP type cards as well. So you know what that means for voltage runs. Vest Kotori, Vest Ellie, and Initial Yohane are back again to wreak some havoc. SP gauge cyclers have the easiest time for this song as it was made for them. Just think of a slightly harder Just Believe from a couple of SBLs ago that deals more damage per note and has less notes that fall within the ACs. Heal and skill cheesers get 0 help during this song, so you are free to go back to your default lineups to give yourself the best chance at scoring that room MVP. The second song of part 3 is Hop Stop Nonstop by Aqua. Some of you may be thinking, wait a second, this frickin' song isn't even out in its attribute version yet. Exactly. On JP, we had to play this song as an unattributed trial song like we would get at the start of an exchange event. The overall song gimmick is a non-cleansable 10% debuff to all non-Aqua cards. Also, let me take this time to say, this song is a pain in the ass to play manually. Along with a couple run-of-the-mill gimmick notes, voltage types gain 10% appeal for the next 20 notes, and guard types gain 20% skill activation rate up for the next 20 notes, this song introduces a brand new, potentially run-wrecking gimmick note. Units in the current strategy lose 50% appeal for the next 20 notes. This occurs during the song at 3 points, notes 22, 75, and 143. So to avoid this monstrosity of a gimmick, you'll have to switch strategies 5 notes before it, hit the note, then switch back to your main strategy. If it wasn't that bad enough, the third AC forces you to have 11 tap skill activations, with Aqua cards gaining an additional 20% to their base skill activation rate. For voltage runs, if I had to guess, it would probably involve Fest Kanon and then a few different variants. One that goes just full Unga Bunga and tosses in Fest Yo and Fest Chica, or one with gauge-filled tap actives that uses Initial Yohane, Miracle Voyage Yo, or Dreamland Ruby to fill out the strategy. The reason behind this is to maximize all of the gimmicks within the 4 ACs, all of which give some type of buff to Aqua cards. Gauge fillers are most likely going to throw the Yo, Ruby, Yohane combo I mentioned in one of the strategies, and take advantage of the first AC, which buffs gauge gain by 20%, and the third, which buffs skill activation rate. Heals and skills will also lean heavily on Aqua cards, as there should be more than enough with those respective tap actives to exploit the third AC. The last song of Part 3 is Tokimeki Runners Chapter 17 version. Yeah, it's back again, with not a lot of variants from the last time we saw this song in SBL. As a friendly reminder, this song comes in the natural attribute and sports a cleansable 20% off attribute debuff. The ACs are really tricky, calling for 2 massive gauge pops and 8 skill activations on the second AC. The most common whale voltage strategy will double as the most effective gauge cycle strategy, featuring Fest Nozomi, Serenade Maki, and Fest Emma. Players running this formation will most likely have to resort to some sort of awkward secondary strat for AC number 2 to get those 8 skill activations, resorting to 3 high appeal guard type cards from Niji, or just running Fest Kanata, Fest Setsuna, and maybe Party Kotori to not lose too much voltage from having to switch off of their primary strategy. Heel Cheesers will get help from the second gimmick note of the song, which boosts skill activation rate of guard types by 20%, with that note coming right before the second AC with the tap skill requirement. Outside of that, nothing out of the ordinary. Skill Cheesers, however, can again utilize the Toki Runner's Setsuna SR to try and maximize their skill activations. Remember, Toki Runner's Setsu is a guard type with a skill activation rate up tap active, which should make that second AC a hell of a lot easier, though in my experience, going full skill cheese normally means that you have an incredibly difficult time getting enough voltage from your SP gauge for the first and third ACs. And finally, The Rock has come back! Oh, wait, shit, wrong line. And finally, this video on the special School Idol Festival SBL is complete. As always, a big thanks go to Xifrid for help with visual assets for the video, and also to Nematic for giving his team building insights. If you happen to like the content, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. I tend to be working on multiple videos at a time, so if you have any questions regarding upcoming cards or events, feel free to leave it in the comments down below. Oh, and if you love the informational slides that Xifrid makes for these videos, please leave him a comment down below as well. He does a lot of great work, and without him, these videos would all be hella scuffed because my boomer ass doesn't know how to operate Photoshop. With that, I've been I Am the Shaz. Take it easy, be nice to each other, and I will see you all next time.